Welcome again to The Edge, where we explore the ideas shaping markets, money management, and policy. Today, we are stepping into one of the most important governance challenges of our time, which is actually what boards must do right now before it's too late regarding artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is no longer just a technical issue. It is a strategic, ethical, and a reputational issue. Yet many boards admit they are currently struggling to keep pace and unsure about the governance issues, especially about how to govern something that learns, evolves, and acts on its own, artificial intelligence. So, in this conversation, we will unpack what effective AI oversight really looks like, from risk management, frameworks, and accountability to how bots can balance innovation with responsibility. So today I'm delighted again to welcome Dr. Edward Agbai, who is an expert in leadership, a corporate governance expert whose research focus explores how organizations navigate complexity and change. Dr. Agbai sits on the board of several companies in North America, especially in Canada and United States. So he brings on board or brings to this conversation insight as a board member. So he will provide insight into how boards, especially, are navigating the issues of artificial intelligence at this time. So, Dr. Agbai, welcome to The Edge.
Thanks for having me. You're welcome.
All right. So let's talk about what boards must get right about artificial intelligence. I was saying what boards must get right before it is too late. So boards have always have always overseen financial and operational risk within a company. But with the introduction of artificial intelligence, so this is something particularly different. So my first question to you would be, how would you describe the new type of risk that AI brings to corporate governance?
Hey, thanks for having me, Dr. Okafo. First, a disclaimer. AI is a tool that enhances governance, that enhances operations of companies. It's a tool, whether for the for-profit or for the non-for-profit. It has enhanced the way people do business. It has also led to loss of jobs, unfortunately. And like you observe, it is revolutionizing the way we do business. So from the governance side, it has been a concern. So looking at are there things that we can do differently in the age of AI from the governance perspective? How do we oversight executives? What tools do we deploy? And we have avalanche of tools that you can deploy. So that's just to say that AI, it depends on where you look at it from. AI is it's a good tool. So thanks for the question. But one thing I must say is that with the advent of AI comes the risk that we find within the governance space. One is opacity and explainability. How do you explain, from the point of governance, how do you explain AI? How do you explain AI to people? People are lost of people are hesitant to even accept the fact that AI is here with us. So how do you explain to those people? So the concept of AI, being able to, so that is a risk. Understanding what AI is one of the first risks we see. The second one is data lineage risk. So when we say data lineage risk, it's about the unknowns. You can wake up, there's a new tool, right? So if you are trying to legislate for one set of tools today, you wake up, there's a new tool. So those lineage, so those possibilities are one of the things that we see because of the evolving area of AI. Another one is about model drift, right? How do you track performance, right, in the age of AI? Today, there are set boundaries for performance for executives and their team. Then tomorrow, they are using one AI tool. So how do you optimize performance in the age of AI? And about concentration. Um, Initially, at the board level, we know that people will be reporting to us. There are certain timelines. Right
Yeah.
now, the timelines are evolving, they are changing. So those are the risks we see around the board level, and it is difficult to actually hold hands on that. But I think the most difficult one is the opacity. How do you explain? And you know that board people that are in the board are not young people.
Yeah, I mean
Most times,
that's so in preparing for our conversation today, I did some bit of research. I spoke to some friends that I know that sit on the board of some companies, and we were having conversation. And what strikes me is the gap in the knowledge about AI that I actually perceive. So I don't know whether you've also noticed this, talking to your fellow board members. Do you think that uh, that boards or members of board have sufficient understanding of AI to be able to challenge management on the use of AI in their company?
before I answer that, you like from the opposite, talk about how do you regulate what you don't understand?
That's a
You
difficult
understand?
one.
That's a difficult one. But to answer you, um, it's difficult understanding the concept. It evolves. There are new tools that AI is bringing to the board. I had to train my team for 4 weeks on AI appreciation. You know, there are three usage of AI. One is the generative AI, your chat GPT.
Mhm.
Obviously, that's what everybody know. And one of the things that is fascinating is that people still use chat GPT like Google, you know.
I would say how that's what people use it. Is there that's what most people use ChatGPT for.
No, the AI is ChatGPT and the likes like Claude are more than what you use as Google. I'll
Okay.
give an analogy so that you understand.
Okay.
If you look at ChatGPT, AI, sorry, or in the case of ChatGPT, let's not
Yes,
on
for
ChatGPT.
example.
For example, if you use ChatGPT, just look at that analogy as a dog. If you have
Mhm.
a puppy, right? You have
Yeah.
a young puppy. You can decide to make that a pet. You can decide to make that a security dog. You
Okay.
can decide to make that something that leads somebody that has one dysfunctionality or not, somebody that like a guide.
So what you're saying
So
is that it has a multi-purpose.
yeah, not like multi-purpose. You can actually make it answer the questions you want it to. That's the
Okay.
point. That's
Okay.
analogy, not multi-purpose, but answer the questions that you want to, which is
Okay.
a dog, something can be a pet. You can train it to be a pet, train it to be a guide, train it to be a security. You understand? So that's just how AI, that's like this analogy I can give you that you can relate with. So you can imagine how we are struggling to even explain that, right? So that's AI. So ChatGPT, you can actually train ChatGPT. You can train it to actually answer some of your needs. So that's like AI for you. That is a ChatGPT, just like an analogy. So if
Okay.
I don't know whether that makes sense to you.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's the generative AI. We don't have the agentic. Yes, that is like Manus. that is the one that you talk to. That's the one you communicate with. You can actually give it a voice prompt, and it will go. You are giving it a message. So you can tell Manus to create a website for you, and Manus will create a website for you. Just that website will be, you can see the website, but you need um, somebody that has coding experience to actually decode and actually make that functional. But the fact that you can even create a website with codes
Yeah.
just by your voice prompt, so that's the second one. And there's also a third one, and that is the humanoid robot, right? That we are going to. So there are three. That one we have not gone to that stage yet, but it's coming and it's coming very fast. So right now we are transitioning from the generative to the agentic, but people are still not even known the generative, right?
Yeah.
And
I get you, Dr. Agbai. So I'm really curious. Like, so you kind of enumerated like different stages or different types of artificial intelligence, or different stages, and the ones that are that are currently in use and the ones that are evolving. So the challenge is, okay, how do you kind of set up an effective governance, policy at the board level? Because before you attempt an answer, so I was, doing some research, and I understand that about one third of U.S. companies now disclose board oversight of AI in their company. This wasn't something that was available a couple of years ago. So my question is, effective governance of AI at the board level, what does it look like? Do you have like a different committee now set up for oversight, like a technology subcommittee? Is it the audit committee, or is this a full board responsibility over governance of AI?
at this point yet, AI is still evolving. It's even still being accepted at the board level. So there's no new committees for AI yet, right? They still assigned to the governance like in our case, we still assigned to the governance committee, right? To look at the regulatory part of it, because we are more concerned about the regulatory part of it. That's
Okay.
so it's more about there's no new committees in my knowledge that have been set up, because countries are still grappling with that. You know that these days um, the CEOs of AI companies have access to government. They have unrestricted access. So
Yeah.
it's still an evolving situation. But one thing that I know that forward-looking companies do is that they now have a risk appetite for AI, right? They
Okay.
accept the fact that it's here, so they accept there is this risk appetite that they accept that the AI is here with us, so we need to accept the fact that it's here, and we deal with the risk as we see them evolve. But to answer it directly, no, we don't have a separate committee yet for AI issues.
Are there like accountability, or responsibility assignments, in a way that what I'm trying to say is that how should board ensure accountability, especially for AI, that the decisions that come from it are driven by algorithms, rather than even what executives propose. So you have a strategy, and then you ask maybe ChatGPT, and then it proposes a strategy, and then you begin to work on that. Who takes responsibility, for a decision that is aided or guided by algorithms?
Good question. Most of the AI functions are more on the executive side than on the board side. But what board can set up like a tech committee,
Okay.
right? With experts, people that have expertise around governance, sorry, the tech space, AI space, to
Yes.
actually do a deep dive. And that is, it comes to my final point to say that that means this committee, the board now has increased their risk appetite for AI.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So first is to set up a special committee for those that are not listening. Another thing is to look at to take an audit of the AI exposure of the company. So you could do an audit to understand what is the level of use percentage of usage of AI of the company. So once you do
Okay.
that audit, you'll be able to understand the level that AI that company is company A and company B. The usage of AI varies from company to company. So an audit will actually unravel the level of usage, and then that technical committee can actually do some oversight or governance around those what the audit will come out with.
Oh, okay. So talking about oversight in practice now, I saw a recent survey from Harvard Business Review, and from that survey, it has that about 500, about Fortune 500 companies showed that about 281 of those companies now flag AI as possible risk factor, which is, if you look at it compared to the prior year, that's about 474% increase um, in companies now flagging AI as a possible risk factor. So you already talked about audits. So I wanted to ask, should boards now require like independent audits? Boards require that financial statements of a company be audited every year. So should board now require like a separate independent AI audits, which is similar to like a financial audit, especially when you have to check for bias, check for data quality or compliance?
Um, Good question. First, it depends on what kind of company you're talking about. If it's a tech company, then there are compliance issues that you need to deal with. And that way you are talking about what they are, you need to take an inventory of what it is that they are and what are the expected risks that they need to take on board. You also need to talk whether you that risk of whether you need to give that risk of AI management to a third party, which means since you don't understand the value chain of the AI, right, you can give it to a
You kind of do
specialized,
you outsource
yeah, you
the
outsource it to a third party. So
mm,
that way they take the risk. So they become the risk owners, right? And then you are free to actually face what you are set up for. So you can actually set up, upgrade your tech team to become AI compliant. So those are like varied things that companies do. But increasingly, the awareness is increasing and people are taking different risks based on their scope of usage of AI.
wow. It's I think there are a lot of issues to really to be looked at, especially with the way AI is growing. So AI is currently presenting strong challenges to effective board oversight, because previously all you needed to do was to focus on how the business is run, focus on whether the financial statements present a true and fair view, some form of corporate governance issues. But with the coming of AI, we're now seeing it presenting challenges for the potential health of an organization as it's applied throughout the organization. So if you were like to advise a mid-service company, or you were talking to your board members, um, and assuming you are looking at a company, let's say a company that is just starting up, or a mid-sized company that is maybe looking at integrating AI into the operations, what would be the first governance issues or steps that you ask that their board should take?
Um, that's a difficult question. What I would
I mean,
say
I'm
that
just
um,
wondering because with the way you mean you analyze everything you said, you detailed the kind of opacity and the challenges that this creates for. I mean, even I would say even executives, let alone boards. But I mean, you said that AI is an enabler, and companies are getting to make use of it to tap into the potential benefits, enormous benefits, I would say, that AI presents. So I'm just wondering, is there like any template or say, hey, you guys are gonna you experimenting or now using AI? This is the first step you should take because that's really what we're looking at.
I would say start with an internal audit
Okay.
of where your AI is. Talking about what are the AI assurances that you have. That you're looking at maybe skills and tools that you have,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that becomes like internal audit that you need to do. That's the starting point. You need to do an internal audit to know what the skill gaps are, what are the tools that are available. So that's the starting point. And where you find high risk in any area, e.g., like we have talked about safety, employment issues, like people are going to lose jobs, right?
Yeah.
So those are the employment issues are. So you can add like an independent external audit that on biases. So that way, if you're going to do an AI audit and that may lead to loss of jobs, you need to bring an independent external auditor so that one is insulated from the biases already
Obviously.
existing within the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, whatever their audits and their final report, it doesn't look at somebody saying to wish on to one person. It's just because of there's a business case that need to be made. So first start with an internal audit, get skills, that way because with the skills and tools and those that can use the skills, obviously since the people that will stay are made of people that will leave, right? So,
Yes.
what are the safety issues to the company, depending on the type of company? And there are safety issues that you're looking at. So that seems to be like one way to go. Then you talk about what are the data qualities, right, that you have based on
Mm-hmm.
AI. Will AI change the data quality that you have because of the opacity and the evolving nature of AI? Will it change your data quality? What are the security? How do you secure against what you don't understand? Right? You know, cyber security. Do you now up your cyber security issues? Right? Do you scale them up? And what are they to do? And how do you find the regulatory realignments? Because with AI, there have been some misalignments on the regulatory side. How do you realign it in the reality of AI? So those external audit will answer some of these salient questions that we have posed.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Abraham. So looking at the human and the strategic dimension, obviously one would begin to wonder whether we have board members that are adequately equipped for oversight of AI as we have it, and whether I mean, what do you think? Do you think that with the advent of AI, it will fundamentally change the kind of people we have on board of corporations?
Not significantly, but just to say that um, boards should be proactive because on the executive side, they will have an officer responsible for AI, right? Somebody that they hold accountable for the AI issues.
Yeah,
Boards should be
isn't
proactive.
isn't that you need someone that you can say this is AI savvy, like those days when you talk about someone being tech savvy. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't it
So,
mean
so,
that
so, 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 so that's my point.
okay,
That's my point. That the executive will surely have an accountable officer on AI,
okay,
right? Just as they have for the operations and everything. So the board, I think, like a proactive move, should also have an accounting officer for accountable officer for AI. So that
Okay.
when when the executive is coming with demands around AI, there should be somebody that should be like a focused person to address that. Because if
Okay.
you leave that around the room for debates, then they will not be going anywhere. So if the board doesn't have somebody that is AI savvy, for want of a better word, they should
Yeah.
find a consultant on the AI side that will be able to advise them on AI issues. Because the issues are there, regulatory issues are there, the government will come with new regulations. How do you regulate? How do you regulate something that you don't understand? So having somebody like consultant by the side or somebody that understands it within the board seems like a proactive way to go. And then you can actually start doing some tiering and go classifications of what the AI risks are, which I've highlighted earlier. And that way they understand what um, what what risk and what risk appetite you should be and risk mapping that you should do. Which one should you accept? Which one should you mitigate against? Which one should you transfer? So once you do that risk mapping, that risk grid analysis, you'll be able to understand which of the type of AI risk you give. But it's something that board has to do. And then you can do some modeling to look at what the AI life cycle will be. And then you have do policies around the AI life cycle to know what are the point of initiation. You can look at it you can use an analogy of a project management to look at the AI life cycle, to look at at what point will the AI enter into the system? If they have entered, where are they?
Yeah.
What are the tools that they are using around that? Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've covered a lot of grounds. So in closing, what's if you are to ask a board member a question related to AI, so what's one question do you wish that every board member would ask management about adoption of AI in their company?
Yeah. I think one of them is the ethical and behavioral side of
Okay.
AI. Yeah, the first one is ethics. The ethical issues are still being looked at. The academics have found a way to do some ethical issues around them, around AI, right? And another thing is we need to look at is data fluency.
Mm,
How do you move data in the age of AI from one level to another?
mm.
So the first one is what are the ethical issues around the AI and the tools being adopted and the fluency. So those are some of the things I would tell board members to look out for.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground. We've looked at the different issues and how bots can have a grip over the adoption of AI in their company. So I think we'll continue to expand on the issue. You've elaborated on the different areas that boards should pay attention to. So it's been my pleasure again joining you or having you join me to discuss these issues on the edge. Thank you, Dr. Agbai.
Thank you, Dr. Kappa, for having me.